Hello and welcome. Quad Business Builder equips relationship managers with the tools to expand compliance-based relationships by adding quantifiable value to pretty well any business at any stage of its development, from startup through growth and right through to exit. So what is it? It's a suite of easy-to-use, cash-focused diagnostic and business development software with 4 separate modules. There's one for businesses that are primarily involved in manufacturing and processing, one for retailers and wholesalers, one for service providers, and one for those engaged in the hospitality industry. Each module has separate applications for startups and established businesses, and unlike traditional one-size-fits-all software, simply selecting the module that represents the best fit with a client's business guarantees you're speaking the client's language, using their vocabulary and addressing their business drivers. So what do you need to run it? If you're working within an established business, you need a set of accounts. They can be either statutory or management, and the more up-to-date the better. Alternatively, you can use Quad to build an extraordinarily powerful startup proposal using nothing more than a few thoughts and ideas. So how does it work? Whichever option you choose, Quad processes your input data into a diagnostic review. It's the software's control center that also summarizes everything that's going on. The red baseline numbers show what the business would look like if it simply repeated everything precisely in line with the source data. The yellow section is where you get to change the driver settings from the baseline numbers to explore and compare the financial implications and affordability of different what-if commercial scenarios. The blue revised numbers summarize the effects of any changes in the yellow section, and as you'd expect, the green change figures summarize the impact of those changes on the baseline position. Very simple, completely intuitive, and extremely powerful. Probably the biggest challenge for a new user is knowing where to start. Quad's 2% test is as good a place as any, particularly when engaging with new clients, where one click of a button automatically improves each of the key driver settings by a nominal 2%. The results can be very surprising. Look at the green cells in this example and you'll see profitability almost trebled, plus an additional 130k of cash flow. The 2% test is a very effective client engagement tool, but because different drivers have different leverage, what's really needed is a means of identifying the ones that matter. And that's precisely what Quad's KPI analysis does. The KPI report is unique to Quad and takes the current settings in the diagnostic review and ranks each of the key business drivers according to their leverage on cash flow. Its purpose is to focus users on the issues that matter and avoid them wasting time on things that don't. It's also a very effective indicator of the efficiency of the business model from a cash flow perspective. And in this example, with the driver setting for additional sales volume languishing at level 6, there are clearly other matters that this business could usefully address before worrying too much about shifting more of the same. And before we open Quad's toolbox, let's just check out the effectiveness of the KPI by uplifting the top 3 ranked drivers by just 2%. First in the ranking was selling price. It always will be, so we'll put those up by 2%. Then came direct material costs, so we'll drop them by 2%, and third was debtor days, so we'll reduce them by 2%. So what impact would those 3 nominal changes have on the business? Well, profits increased by 68k, cash flow by 80k, margins improved by 3%, cash efficiency improves by 18%, cost of working capital falls by 3%, break-even falls to 91%, but is still probably too high for comfort, and the indicative exit value increases by over 100k. Not a bad outcome from just 3 driver changes of 2%. And another classic example of the power of Quad's KPI analysis, where relatively small changes focused on the drivers with leverage have a disproportionate impact on the totality of the business. Try doing that with a traditional spreadsheet. And it doesn't stop there. Quad's toolbox at the bottom of the screen opens up some intriguing options. Maybe the management wants to invest in growth. Quad can handle all forms of CapEx. But maybe they're going to need a bit of financial assistance to do it. Quad handles all forms of inward investment, including soft loans and grants. And are they sure it's the right thing to do? Quad's value change offers a completely new perspective on the relationship between commercial decision-making and resultant equity values. And what about alternative funding options? You can use Quad to explore the likely impact of factoring on an unfactored business. And in anticipation of an increase in interest rates, you can even run a stress test to check out the implications of different assumptions. And no matter where you are or what you're doing, simply pointing your cursor at any cell with a red flag in the top right-hand corner will release an on-screen pop-up that will explain precisely what's going on and why. And as you'd expect, Quad maintains comprehensive real-time reports that are available in your choice of quarterly or monthly formats and in either hard copy or electronic form. And last, but by no means least, Quad maintains an added value summary, a one-page report that provides you and your client with an unequivocal statement of what you started off with, what you've encouraged them to think about changing, and what the added value impact would be on their business of giving effect to those changes. And that in a nutshell is Quad Business Builder. Easy to use, interactive, cash-focused, client-friendly, diagnostic and business development software that adds quantifiable value to pretty well any business at any stage of its development. So how do you get hold of it? Quad Business Builder is marketed under an annual Office license that includes all 4 modules in both startup and going concern formats, and it costs just £1,400 plus VAT, or possibly less, dependent upon your particular circumstances and requirements. And as you can see, there are no petty restrictions on its installation or use. Extraordinarily good value for some extraordinarily effective software. But if you're still not convinced, why not take up our offer of a free 14-day trial? Numbers are limited and it's strictly first come first served, so contact us now to register your interest. You have absolutely nothing to lose and potentially a great deal to gain. Whatever you decide to do, I'd like to thank you for watching this video. I hope you feel it's been relevant and time well spent, and we'll look forward to hearing from you. Goodbye.